Hello friends, how are you all? Today I will explain Jumper movie. Jumper is a 2008 American science fiction action film loosely based on the 1992 novel of the same name by Stephen Gould. I request if you like this video please like, comments and subscribe my channel. Let's start the explanation. At the beginning of the Jumper movie we see David, who is in a sandy area. Then David starts telling us about his past life, which tells us that in college time David was in love with a girl Millie, but he was too shy to tell her. Millie was very fond of traveling. That's why David gifts Millie a snow jar. Millie is very fond of him, but then his classmate came there and snatches the jar and starts making fun of David's gift. After this, Mark throws that jar into the icy pond. David liked all that very much, so David would go alone to get that jar. David picks up jar when the ice breaks and David falls into the water below. Millie starts calling for help and David tries to get out of the snow, but he can't. Then David teleports from there to a library. After this David starts going to his house. Here David explains that when he was 5 years old, his mom left him and he blamed all this on his dad and his dad didn't make anything more special than him. Now coming home, David continues in his room, but his dad scolds him for wetting the floor. Now David locks his room and teleports from there and comes back to the same library. Seeing all this happening to him, David understands that he has the power to teleport. David teleports again to his room. There he sees that his dad is talking to the police about him and tells the police that their son has suddenly disappeared somewhere. Even her dad didn't know about her teleport power. David decides to move away from his dad and starts taking some of his money and bags. Here Millie was very sad about David. It seemed to him that David could not get out of the pond. Then Millie would come to her window and see that the same snow jar has continued in her garden. Millie picks up the jar who was gifted by David, then she comes to know that David is fine. Now Millie starts calling David but David does not appear in front of her. Later, David comes to some city and stays in a hotel. The next day now David tries to control his power. Then he starts seeing a photo of a place in David's book. This was the place where he went with his mother in childhood. David tries to go there and on sight David gets teleported to the same place. That is, David can teleport there by thinking about or seeing a place. David then disassembles a bank robbery, teleports to the inside locker on the right and pretends to be in the bathroom and takes the money out to his hotel room. He slowly brings a lot of money to his room. The police are also surprised to see such theft in the bank. The NSA officer also goes here. Here Roland comes with his team and starts investigating all this. Now a few years later the scene is shown. David lives in a nice hotel in New York and now he is able to use his power to the fullest. David teleports from there to London and comes across a bar. A boy is seen using his power with emotion. Now after this, enjoys with a girl. After this David teleports from there and enjoys the sea waves. Next is a jungle scene where Roland has caught a man who also had the power to teleport. Roland captures him and kills him with a knife. From this we know that Roland works to kill the telephonic humans. When David returns to his room, he finds Roland there. Roland tells him that he has been looking for him for the past 8 years. Roland starts asking him about the thefts as well, but David doesn't tell him anything and leaves. But Roland does not let him go and starts attacking him with an electric wire. Because of this, David was unable to teleport and he starts having a lot of pain. Then David somehow escapes from there and comes to his dad's house. On coming home David's dad tries to stop him, asks him to come back home but David does not stop there and leaves from there too. Right now, Roland finds a photo of Millie from David's room, after which he starts gathering information about Millie. Here David comes to Millie's house to meet him. Let me tell you here Millie works in a bar. David goes there to meet her. Going there, David starts leaving without meeting Millie. While you go out, he also finds Mark but David refuses to recognize him, only then Millie comes there. Here Mark starts abusing Millie, hearing that David starts beating Mark. After this the fight between the two starts. David teleports with him and locks him in a bank. After the order, David comes to Millie and tells him that he banished the roads. After that both of them start talking. Here David tells Millie that he works in a bank. She says, "I know your hard work is weak. That's why I stayed away from getting a job in the bank." Now further David asks her to visit the Rome. After this both of them go in Rome and start living in a hotel. On the other hand, Roland comes to the police station and starts talking to Mark. Mark tells about David. Millie here was still in shock. How did David get a job in the bank? Then both of them enjoying in the Rome. After this, both of them go to see the Colosseum of the Rome, which Millie was very fond of seeing. But as soon as she starts going inside, the security there does not allow her to go inside, because that place was closed now. Despite their refusal, David takes Millie in through another route. After entering the Colosseum, the two start walking. David tells Millie to walk downstairs, but the door there was closed. After this, David leaves Millie there and goes to open the door below. Coming downstairs, he finds a boy named Griffin, who had the same power as David. Griffin tells him that you cannot escape those people and that you are not the only one who had the power to teleport. Now friends, the people who teleport in this movie have been named as jumpers. Well, then there used to be Roland's man. She tries to capture them both, but Griffin kills them with his power. David asked, who are these people? To this Griffin explains that when these guys are the first ending and they haunt the jumpers, the two are still talking. Then the in-charge goes there and starts calling the police. Griffin resident teleporter arrives at his base. There goes the goddess behind the Griffin. Seeing David at his home, Griffin tells him to leave. After this, David teleports from there and comes to Millie and starts leaving with Millie. On leaving suddenly, Millie starts questioning David, but David does not tell her anything. She sees the in-charge of David leaving from there. Then the police catch David and Millie and bring them to the police station. The officer starts interrogating David, but David does not tell anything about the incident there. Then that officer keeps his passport with him. Just then David's mom comes there and tells him to leave in a hurry. David is seen by the officer on his way from there. Then the officer tries to stop him, but David takes the officer to the port near the pyramid and leaves it there. Now after this David comes back to the station and leaves with Millie. Then David comes to the airport with Millie. Here Millie starts questioning David and asks him to show his bag. David then shows his bag. There was a lot of money in David's bag, which makes him very fond of seeing. Then David leaves Millie alone on the flight home. Here Roland learns from his man that he has lost David. Roland gets very angry at this. Then Roland comes to David's dad's house. Roland asks him, when was the last time you met your son? To this David dad says that he met his son 8 years ago and he doesn't know anything about his son. David dad doesn't reveal much about David here, on which Roland tries to kill him. David then comes to Griffin. Griffin tells David here that these people, that is, those who kill us, nor everything is known about us, due to which our relatives and our relatives are in danger. Hearing this, David comes to his dad and sees his dad lying on the ground. David then quickly teleports his dad to a hospital where his dad is treated. Then David comes to Mark, who was currently in jail. David asked Mark, what did you tell those people? On this the path says that I told them everything about you and Miley. David then comes back to Griffin's base and says that I will kill Roland. Griffin then forbids him to do so and asks him to hide somewhere else. After this Griffin does not teleport from there to any other city. David also follows him the same way. Now exhausted, Griffin agrees to help David, doing so only to get rid of David. Now after this David checks Millie at the airport, but Millie does not find him there. Then David also goes about the place where Millie used to work, but Millie can't find her there either. After this David comes to her house looking for Millie and finds Millie at the service. Here, on asking Millie, David would have told that he does not work in any bank, but upon hearing that he had robbed the money from the bank, Millie tells him to leave his house. Only then does Roland come to Millie's house with his companions. And David also immediately teleports Millie to Griffin's base. After David leaves, Roland comes there to see that David has just teleported. Then Roland uses one of his machines to open a portal to him from the teleportation way. Here Griffin gets very angry seeing them at his base and tells David that they will follow you here because they have the machine. That's when a portal opens through which Roland comes with his companions. David and Millie hide after seeing him, but David moves towards that photo seeing his mom's photo on the wall. Then Roland starts attacking him. Roland here puts David on electrical wires and proceeds to kill him. Then Griffin attacks Roland with a fire gun. Griffin then hits Roland with a forceful punch, causing Roland to fall out. Now Griffin goes to a city and throws the entire bus on Roland by telephone, but Roland escapes from him. Griffin then removes him from firing at Roland and brings Millie back home from a portal. Now Millie helps David to get out of those wires. Leaving Greenland there, he returns, but Roland, with the help of his gadget, pulls Millie to him, tying her up. Griffin then decides to go there and kill Roland and everyone else with a bomb, but David forbids him to do so because Millie was there. David then gets teleported somewhere else with the bomb and Griffin follows him. Here David starts teleporting at different places by taking the bomb's remote. When Griffin finally captures the port, David entangles Griffin in electrical wires. Griffin tells him to take her out, but David leaves her too and comes to Millie's house. On his way home, David is caught up in Roland's attempt where he is caught by electrical wires. After this, David angrily folds the whole room into Italy and brings it to the river. Then David converts himself and Millie to teleport in the same library. Here Roland is given, after which David captures Roland and telephones him at an empty space, then leaves him there alone. Now at the end of the movie, let's see that David looks for his mom, comes to her house. Here his mom forbids him to come here. Here David's mom says to David that when you were 5 years old when you did teleport for the first time, I had two options to kill you or leave you and I decided. So how was today's explanation? If you like it then please subscribe my channel and write your comment. That's all for today. Bye bye.